The how do you get to the truth or your truth when there's so much misinformation, disinformation? That's not true. Oh, that person, that there's so many personalities attached to information, so many labels attached to things. How are you finding over this last year? You've been looking for your evidence and your data.
Yeah, I guess I've used social media a lot over the years, and I've been self-employed since 2013. So for a few years, between sort of 2013, 2017, I was mostly working from a home office, which and with sort of
like me today,
YouTube on in the background, or giving me more time to sort of maybe check things out on social media, what have you, that I wouldn't have otherwise done beforehand. But I think I was quite an early adopter of Twitter, that even though I don't really use Twitter that much, it's a great way of finding incredible people all over the world and accessing their information and knowledge and seeing what they're sharing. So I've put a lot of effort over the years into curating who I follow on Twitter and what appears in that news feed. So I think that allows me to get some pretty high level views, intelligence that wouldn't be available to others just from that one resource, and that's sort of 10 years in the making from my efforts and people I've discovered on the internet, etc. And then, you know, I've used Facebook, although current 30-day suspension, and LinkedIn, use that, found all sorts of interesting people on that. Again, that's now restricted. I can't use that the second time. But now the last few months, all these other apps have come along, like Signal that we use for Lawyers for Liberty, and Telegram in particular, and that's like another opportunity to find and all sorts of interesting people and have interesting conversations with them and sharing all sorts of insightful information. Of course, you constantly have to analyze all of that, and there may be all sorts of things that you don't agree with, but the more there is and the more different views you get, and the more you're able to apply critical thinking to it, I guess, and then I think the better the chance you have of getting to what might be the truth, as it were, the objective truth.
At least a truth that's closer to the truth. It may not be the truth, but you definitely get to a truth that's closer.
What you may believe using your own critical thinking functions, rather than just sitting there and consuming whatever agenda-driven nonsense propaganda that's being shoved down your throat through the TV or the media, whether it's the Sun or the Guardian or whatever it might be. They all kind of link to the same people at the end of the day.
I love that you never mince your words. You're like, drivel. Drivel. Tell me how that's affected business, because you would think that in a business world, people, we like people that do a certain job in a certain way, right? Because we like consistency. We like how people. I like to know that my lawyer is like this. I like to know that my the CEO is like this. And you're kind of a mishmash of the two. You're head of a firm. Tell me how this last year has been for business, and how you speaking out has been for business.
I guess I don't think it really sort of materially impacts business one way or the other. That's just me doing my thing, kind of outside work, as it were. Right. During the day, mostly 9 to 5, we're heads down, and we've got a successful, fast-growing, commercially business-focused law firm, as it were. So, I think we grew. Comparing the last quarter of last year to the first quarter, we grew, our turnover kind of tripled, I think. But then over the course of the year, I think it was a doubling in turnover. So we still had challenges and lost clients and work and all the rest of it. But largely, we kind of weathered that period well. And then we've continued to adapt and grow, develop this year as well. I can't think of any particular issue with clients. I'm sure there might be. I mean, we do. I know. You know, there are people who get very upset, or have done when I was on it and on LinkedIn, about, you know, me sharing views, even though they're just referencing things that are in the mainstream media and showing, oh, isn't this great? How, like, Texas has opened up and there's no cases and everyone's fine. For some reason, that sets people off. And there's one lawyer in particular who just, all he does is just post, like, articles saying COVID deniers are crazy, kind of thing, and won't engage in any sort of rational analysis or reasonable exchange.
With me, Jonathan Lee.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's yeah. So I mean, we had a little bit of trouble with one, maybe I don't really want to talk about it too much, but one employee in particular who thought it was very important that he should stay at home, and we've kind of, like, bucked the trend somewhat in that we've mostly all stayed in the office. So
has that been beneficial? Like, what have you gained, do you think, in staying in the office and kind of?
Yeah, so I think compared to other firms, like, we didn't make any redundancies. Nobody went on furlough, no pay reductions, what have you. Everyone kept same salaries, which are quite pretty high for a firm like us. And then we paid bonuses at Christmas as well. Yeah, so what was the question again?
Do you think it's been beneficial to you? Not in
yeah. So there was a little period last year where everyone thought the world was going to end. Myself and one of the trainee solicitors here, we remained in the office throughout. But I remember when was it, end of March last year, and we literally thought the police were going to come and arrest us because we were staying in the office. So we wrote this letter to take with us when we were driving to work, to give all the legal reasons and analysis of why it was justified that we should be in the office. But anyway, now we've had time to consider the government guidelines or whatever it is. It's like, you know, my view is like, well, no, we can't perform the roles unless we're in the office. So, you know, there's no reason to
no issue
work from it. And you know, I haven't really sort of pushed that. Most people just want to be in the office anyway, and we work a lot better where both seniors and juniors can more easily communicate and share information and ideas, rather than having that distance where you're reliant on playing email ping pong or you know, trying to get people on the phone, which we do anyway because we work closely with our self-employed consultant solicitors. But that's different because they've made that choice and they're experienced solicitors. But at the same time, we're trying to more and more employ experienced solicitors ourselves, rather than work with them on a self-employed basis, because then that allows us to bring in and take on more juniors and better grow our firm. But then you need everyone in the same environment, because it does work, but not nearly as well.